Yo, what up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You ever have someone say, just budget better when you mention you're struggling with money? Like, you're sitting there, staring at your bank account and wondering how rent, groceries, utilities, and maybe, just maybe, something small for yourself is supposed to come out of all this sad little paycheck? And then somebody rolls up with their smug Dave Ramsey logic like, well, if you just stop buying lattes, you'd be able to afford a house by now. Like, seriously? I mean, it's not bad advice on the surface. Budgeting is a helpful tool, but let's not pretend that it fixes everything. Budgeting only works if there's actually enough money to budget with. If someone's paycheck barely covers rent, food, a bus pass, there's not much left to shuffle around. You can't squeeze blood from a stone. And you can't magically make 1,200 stretch to meet 1,800 worth of bills no matter how many budgeting apps you download. I mean, let's be real. Budgeting only works when you have enough money to actually make choices. Like, say you're making $2,500 a month. That's not poverty, right? At least not by technical standards. But your rent is $1,500 because, you live in America. Considering that the national average is around $2,000 per month, I'm actually lowballing right now, but bear with me. So, anyways, now 60% of your income is gone before you even had a slice of bread or put gas in your car. And you still have to pay for electricity, water, your phone, internet, which, let's face it, isn't a luxury anymore. It's a necessity for work, school, everything. Then there's insurance, student loans, medical bills, maybe a credit card payment, and food. I mean, you gotta eat, right? And ideally something better than instant ramen. Now, with all of that, how is this magical budgeting maneuver supposed to happen? Like, what's left to just cut? I mean, do people overspend, live beyond their means, buying avocado toast or whatever? Sure, that's definitely a real thing. But most people aren't living like that. The reality is, when your income is barely cover your needs, there's no wiggle room to budget. You're not sitting there choosing between Netflix and Hulu. You're choosing between groceries and gas. Between paying rent on time or overdrafting your account. It's not that budgeting is bad advice. It's just incomplete. It assumes that the problem is a lack of planning, when in reality, it's often a lack of income. Or the crushing weight of unavoidable expenses like medical debt, childcare, or just prices going up. It's like telling someone who's drowning to just swim better. Budgeting can help with awareness and priorities, sure, but it can't fix a system where people are underpaid, housing is unaffordable, and basic needs are just getting more expensive. And also, just for fun, let's do the math. Even if someone did buy a $5 coffee every single day, which, let's be honest, most people don't, that's $150 a month, which sounds like a lot until you remember that rent has increased by hundreds in the past 2 years. Health insurance, groceries, even utilities, everything's gone up. Wages, not so much. Now, is having an extra $150 a month a good thing? Sure, but it's not going to bring you out of poverty. Cutting out coffee isn't going to fix that. You're not going to fund a down payment on a house just by skipping brunch. That's the myth we've been sold. It's a nice little fantasy that if you just deny your small joys enough, somehow it'll make up for the fact that housing costs are way out of control and minimum wage hasn't budged in years. What it really does is shift the blame. It tells people the reason you're not ahead is because you're irresponsible. You're just not disciplined enough. And that's kind of messed up. Because most people are being responsible. They're doing everything right. Or at least everything possibly they can. And it's still barely staying afloat. And to be clear, I'm not saying that budgeting isn't useful. Of course it is. You should be responsible with your money. And tracking it definitely helps. That is, if you have enough money to start off with. Because if you can budget your way out of poverty, it probably means you have enough to work with in the first place. Maybe you had a support system, maybe someone to lean on. Maybe your rent wasn't $2,000 a month or had crushing debt. That's not something everyone gets. Some people are really, really poor, like below the poverty line. I don't know, pretending that everyone is working with the same tools in the same circumstances, it's just not reality. And I get why people cling to the whole just budget better mindset. It's comforting. It makes us feel like we have control, like there's a solution right at our fingertips. That if we just tighten up, try harder, make a spreadsheet, we'd be okay. Because the alternative is terrifying. That we live in a system where doing everything right still isn't enough. Where you can work full time, or even more than full time, and still not have your basic needs met. Where unexpected medical bills or a broken car can completely break you down financially. Nobody wants to admit that. So we just shift the blame on individuals. It's easier. I mean, recognizing that budgeting alone can't solve poverty doesn't mean giving up. It just means being honest about the tools that we actually have. And yeah, financial literacy and budgeting is a tool, but it's not a shield to ignore the bigger picture. So budget if you can. Track your spending. Get organized. Find ways to stretch where it's possible. But that's all I got. What's the worst financial advice you've ever gotten? Drop it in the comments. Like the video if you're feeling it. Subscribe for more videos like this one. Have a great day, night, whenever you find this. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.